It's Memorial Day 2021. We're just coming out of COVID, and this is actually one of the first of a couple weeks that we've actually been able to not have masks on.
Correct.
I'm vaccinated, you're vaccinated. Today is the 31st of May, 2021, and we're at the not the Veterans Cemetery, but the cemetery at Cold
North
State
Burial
Park.
Ground.
North Burial Ground, where Dad is. And
Cremation.
I've been
garden.
wanting to do this for a while, to try and have some time for you and I to, little bits and pieces at a time, to just have some conversations and recall some memories, to try and make memories for later. So I thought today we would do it simply with maybe, because today is Memorial Day, I thought maybe you could tell me one memory you had of Dad in the military. And then another one is I have a picture I'm going to send to you on your phone. And then when you get it, I want to see what you have as memories of the day that picture was taken.
Okay.
So you want to start with something about Dad with the military?
I can tell you something humorous while he was in the military.
Okay.
He traveled a lot while he was in Europe. He got himself a car, a Volkswagen Fastback, and he was able to travel some places, countries he went back to twice. Well, this particular time, he and two friends went to Italy. And I guess they had a little bit too much to drink, and they had to get back to the base. And they were walking, and one of their friends was overcome, and he just kind of stumbled. So Dad happened to see a wheelbarrow by a wall. So he went and got the wheelbarrow in Italy, and he got the wheelbarrow. But what he didn't know is it was a police station. So he stole the wheelbarrow from the police station, put his drunken friend in it, and him and his other friend are running down the thing, and the police were running after them. And his friend, because they were running, the wheelbarrow tipped over, and his friend got to stay there and got in trouble because he didn't get back on the base, but he was able to go the next day.
Oh my God.
So Dad and his other friend got to the base okay, and they were explaining that they have to go back. They tried to rescue him, but it didn't work out.
I wonder what the police thought of that.
I think they were very kind to American soldiers.
Yeah.
But that was probably the most funniest thing that I remember him telling me.
Yeah.
And another time he was first over there, and they were only allowed certain packages, and you had to wait a while to get your civilian clothes. And at that time, believe it or not, your father smoked a pipe very, very infrequently. And he loved cherry tobacco. That was the only thing he ever put in it. And he most of the time walked around with it in his pocket. But anyway, he was waiting for his civilian clothes. And he was all excited because now he could, when he goes on leave, he could dress up the way he wanted to. I sent him a package of cherry tobacco, so it was all wrapped up in the brown stuff in there, and they were all kidding him about his civilian clothes. He says, "You're 6'4", you're going to fit into those clothes." So that was the other thing. But
Do you remember the day that he told you he was joining the military?
I remember the day, but I don't remember what it was because he was in college, and
He was at
PC, Providence College, and it was
What
his
year was he in?
senior. When I met him in 1960, he was already 1 year down for college, and he went into the military in 1963. He was scheduled to go in October, and he graduated in May, the end of May, or I think it was the end of May. So he knew when he graduated he was supposed to go in
5 or 6
October.
months after he graduated.
Right, but he got notice that he was going to be drafted in 3 weeks. And he said, "You can't draft me because I've already signed up for the Army."
Yeah.
So that left that, and he went in October, but 3 weeks before he was scheduled to leave, he got a draft notice.
Yeah.
So anyway, he went in October, and when it was time for him to come home in 1966, he was due to come home in October, but my mom had died in May, and so Dad didn't go on vacation anywhere that summer, so he saved some time, and he had a choice to either pay the military time if he took it, if he didn't have any vacation, or take the vacation. So he came home in September instead. So that was, he had asked me to marry him, then he wanted me to go to Austria for a honeymoon. But I couldn't because my mom had just died like 2 weeks before, and I didn't write it to him right away because I just didn't know what to say. So he sent me a telegram, "What's wrong, what's the matter?" And finally I said to myself,
you didn't write it all, so he was wondering.
Exactly, and I explained everything at that point, but I was just like, I didn't want to depress him. I didn't know what to say. I was all upset because
It's
of
not
my
like you
dad
can
and my
do
mom.
anything
So
over there.
nope. And
Can't change it.
that's
Can't
when
get
he
on a flight anyway, unless
that's when he asked me to come to Europe. And if I have one regret in my entire life, it's that I didn't marry him sooner. That's all. That's my only regret, even through all the bad
you sure
stuff.
it's not because of Europe? You just needed to get to Europe.
Oh yeah. No, it was Austria. Austria was his favorite place, Salzburg,
That's still
Austria, and he wanted me to see it.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I saw it in pictures.
Yep.
But those are perhaps the two most fond memories.
What did he join for? Like, when he enlisted, did he have a choice of what
Yep.
he was trying to do?
He picked
Like,
anything,
had
and Dad was always good at finances
Yeah.
because that's what he took in college, and he had a business degree. And so when he went in, he wanted to do finance, and as it turned out, he had an opportunity to do military finance. And they put him in Germany, and he was the paymaster, that's what they call them, for the entire army in Europe. He paid over 1 million soldiers their paychecks and everything to
that.
the letter. And Dad always said, people would ask him if they had a pencil because they need erasers. He said, I don't carry pencils because I don't make mistakes. So,
But even when he went in and he enlisted, he couldn't have had an idea he would have gotten that particular job. But he went in
No.
with the understanding that
He
he
went
would
to
do
school.
something in finance.
he went to school in Indianapolis, finance school. And at that time
the
they
military
were,
and
yep,
after
through the
PC.
military. And I forgot, it was a few weeks. But he was in Indianapolis, and then he
They
came
call
home
that
and
something COC or an MOC or something like that, which is your
they just called
training
it,
for the job that you're
Right.
going to do, kind of thing.
right? And that was when they were just allowing women to take positions that
Oh.
men have. And there were 2 girls in his class. So he had 2 girls.
So on the cutting edge of something, actually, for his
Yeah.
time too. That's kind of
Yeah.
cool.
And then when he left finance school, they stationed him in Georgia, Atlanta. And he stayed in Atlanta
I didn't
until
know
it was.
He was in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew.
I get mixed up with the names of the things, but he was at
Do you know
Fort
where he
Benjamin
was in
Harrison,
Atlanta?
and I don't remember if that's
Oh.
the school or in Indianapolis or if that was in Georgia. I think Fort McPherson was the one in Georgia.
I think
remember
Fort
his
McPherson's
I remember his
Georgia.
number and everything.
Huh.
RA1. I can't say it now because I just said
Because you're
I said
thinking
it.
about it. Yeah.
Yep. But anyway, I remember his number with all the letters I wrote. He saved all my letters. He came
Oh,
home with
because
2
you
or
had to
3
write
boxes.
The number every time because that's
114-18203. It was regular Army, RA. So everywhere he went, you had to put that on the envelope. And then when he got over Europe, there were extra things you had to put because now it's going out of the country. And I remember one time he wanted to talk to me, so 3 weeks in advance he had to make arrangements to call me on a Sunday at 3 o'clock, and we talked. Well, I waited with bated breath that day. I was waiting, and of course you're dealing with a time change. So
Right.
3 o'clock came and the phone rang, and we talked for 22 minutes. You know how much it cost him? $87 for 22 minutes of phone conversation.
$87 in 1960 what?
Well, he was
Or
in
was it
Germany,
over
so it was
70?
no, it was
60.
he went in 63. He came home. He was in almost 2 years in Germany. He went to Germany in the winter, but I don't remember if it was just before Christmas or just after.
But that would have been 65
Yeah,
or
about that.
66.
Yep.
$87
The end of 60,
for
yeah.
a 20-minute phone call in 1966.
Yep. 22-minute phone
$87
call.
was a heck of a lot of money.
Yep.
A lot of
Western Union, when he sent me the telegram, that cost him like $23.
money. Now I have
That
to
was a
look
lot.
up and see, like, what did his car cost or something like that. So
He paid
comparatively, to spend
$2,000 for his car.
for a car,
And out here,
and he spent almost $100 on a phone call.
he bought the car off the showroom floor. It was the
Wow.
first year that the Volkswagen became automatic, and it had a 5-speed. And he bought that for $2,000, and it took 2 years before it came out in the States. So he was driving it for 2 years.
Oh, so he would be like one of the only people, if not the only person in the country, unless somebody else had done something similar
Yeah.
in the military and shipped it back.
Took 3 weeks
is
to get
actually
home. He shipped it
possible,
home
but-
by boat. Took
Yeah.
3 weeks. He went by boat over to Germany. He said they were slammed in like sardines, the
Do you
military
remember the name
boats.
of the boat?
No.
No.
No, it was they
They
all
never
went out. I
told you.
think he went out of New York. He
Do you
had
think
to
it
go.
was a Liberty ship kind of thing?
I
Or-
was just going to say Liberty ship, yes, but there
I'm
were
sure
so
they were
many
still in use
hundreds.
then.
Oh, they had several of them.
Yeah.
just shuttling back and forth to Europe and wherever else they had to go. They had guys going everywhere, Panama, Europe, Vietnam.
Yes.
That was the other thing. There were like 200 and some guys in Dad's company, because his companies, platoons,
Yep.
units. So there were 200, and I think it was 207, and he was down to number 7. They were all getting picked to go down to Vietnam, up to Vietnam, whatever. And he was number 7, I think, of being able to stay in Germany. But he was on pins and needles for a while.
Wow.
But because
So
of his
200
position,
people went before him? Oh, wow.
yeah, out of the unit. And when
How'd
he
they
went
pay
into
people?
when he that's his job saved him, because there's so much training involved. They says, don't worry, you will not go because there's
Yeah.
too much involved with training.
Yeah.
So Dad got to stay, but he didn't know that, you know. And the other thing that happened, you might be sorry you even asked me these questions. The other thing is Barry Broadbent was a guy that I went to school with. And when Dad joined the Army, Barry was one of the guys that him and this other guy went into basic training with. And I don't know if you remember Wayne.
The name sounds
Okay,
familiar.
Wayne lives in Lynn, Mass. And Wayne, Barry, and Dad kind of hit it off as friends. And they all went. Barry went to Vietnam, and Dad went to Germany. And Barry got wounded. And when he got shipped back, he landed in Dad's unit in Germany. So they got to be friends again. And then they all got out of the military, and Barry, Wayne, and Dad came home. And we drove to Lynn to drop Wayne off. And Dad, I forgot where Barry ended up. He lived in Rhode Island anyway, because he went to Hope High School with me, but he dropped him off. Then we went to Lynn, Mass to drop Wayne off. But I called Wayne when Dad died, and Wayne is a paraplegic now. He's
From his injury, or just something else may have happened?
I don't know, because they all were part. Wayne was part of the paratrooper group, and Wayne
wow.
landed on his tailbone near a church, and I don't know if that's what injured him or what. But
During training, or actually going into
Dad
combat?
was in a private group, no combat. Dad was in a private group that I've forgotten the name of it, but it was a jumping club, and they only went so many feet high. They jumped out of helicopters. They packed their own chutes and everything. So every once in a while, for recreation, him and his friends would go and jump. Dad landed on his fanny once. Wayne, the reason it happened, he was headed for the steeple of a church, because this was in Europe, and he was headed for the steeple of a church. So he kind of pulled the ropes, and
Picked the lesser of two
it
evils.
kind of gushed with the wind, and he ended up with a hard fall, and it was on his
So he got that
backside. So
just in a club, wasn't even in
nope, it was a private club that
service.
the men. And he was a bartender over there for the NCO club. And what else did he do to earn money? I don't know. Don't remember over there. But that was mostly in Germany. If you look up Atlanta, Dad used to go swimming in Lake Allatoona.
Allatoona.
Yeah, in Atlanta, or near Atlanta. And I think Fort Benjamin Harrison is...
It's a picture I sent.
Oh, okay. He kept in
Allatoona,
touch with his
swimming.
buddies. He kept in touch with Wayne, and he kept in touch with John Sokol, but John Sokol was a civilian over there.
Oh,
Anyway, Dad liked everything he did, and he always wanted to encourage you boys that if it came to that, being in the service was a good thing. He was proud to be a soldier. That's why I fought hard for that little
thank you.
thing,
You
because
deserve that.
he deserved that. Anybody that's in the military deserves any kind of recognition.
It's a sacrifice just being in. You don't
Yeah,
have to get injured
that's
or
right.
lose your life.
That's
It's a
right.
Sacrifice just being in. You're doing what they want you to do the entire time, not what you want to do.
I remember I had a job at the tennis club, and I was nervous about something because the man that owned it wasn't very friendly. And
Was it Rick something?
no, it was he was a doctor. He's the one that got killed. But I was nervous, and I told Dad, I said, it makes me nervous to talk to him. And he said something, and I said, no. I said, he'll probably get mad at you. And he looked at me, he says, Jeannie, he says, I have had a sergeant in the Army. He says, I've been through an awful lot. I'm not afraid of Dr. Nelson.
Yeah.
But you just think about things that affect you. You think they're going to affect
Right.
him too. But Mr. Big and
Have
Brave.
somebody in my face for 10 minutes screaming at me. I really don't care.
I saw Dad get in a fight two times in my life. Once where a kid was knocking stuff over in the candy store he worked at and made him leave, and he put him out bodily. And the second time affected you. What happened was you were about 2.5, and we had a dog, and we were walking down Moonstone Beach, and there was another guy who was coming towards us with the dog, but the dog was loose, and the dog saw our dog, and it came over and started a fight. And Dad and I were here, the guy was there, and the dog knocked you over. And when Dad went to get the guy, because he says, "Get your dog," and the guy said, "I'm sorry, he never does this," and he's trying to grab him. Two dogs are grabbing him. Well, the guy stepped on your chest because he lost his balance, and Dad got mad and grabbed a hold of me. He just punched him, and it was the second time in my life but he was scared for you.
Yeah.
You were screaming. Do you remember any of that? Because 2.5 is no.
Not in the slightest.
Okay, well, the guy was very apologetic, but in all the skirmish, one person reached and you fell to the ground, and it was just one of those very light steps. He didn't put all his weight on you, but he used you as a stepping stone. Dad was furious, but it all worked out. We were picking stones. Maybe you were a little bit older, but we were picking stones, flat stones, moonstones, like the black ones and the smooth stones we wanted.
Stone Beach.
I know. That's why we went down there. Yeah. And I used some of those stones later for the roof of the church that I built. Remember the church I built for the kids at CCD? I had 3rd grade class.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Kinda.
I built a little church, and we used the stones for that.
Well, I sent you a picture,
Yes.
so if you could take a look at it, I want you to try to remember your remembrance of what that day was like.
Sure. Oh. No. Dad didn't have white hair when you were born, so who is this?
What's that?
Dad didn't have white hair when you were born. Who is it?
So, this is at our house.
Yeah.
That's our bay window.
That Jacob?
That's Jacob.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to remember, Jacob was
That's
long.
Jacob. So that would have been
Yeah.
shortly after we were able to bring him home.
See how tanned he is?
Why?
Dad was part Swedish, so he used to tan very well. But when he came from Lake Alatuna, and I came home to see him, he was 6'4", 178 pounds, brown as could be. It was like I couldn't believe it. But then, when he went to Germany, he gained weight with the cheese and the beer and the bread. He came home, I couldn't get my arms around him to give him a hug. He was 220 pounds. So that's what he gained from Atlanta to Germany.
There's actually a show on now called Cuckoo
Uh-huh.
with a guy who was tall like Dad was, and it just made me think of how you described him as what this character is like. He's English, he's British, and some of his silliness is similar to what Dad's is. He's more silly more consistently than what Dad was, but just he likes to, every once in a while, he likes to cut loose and dance, and it just reminds me of at the wedding when Dad bonked Bonnie on the head with was it a tambourine or something like that?
I don't remember. Yeah, we all had tambourines, hats, and stuff.
Yeah, but this guy, he's just this gigantic big guy, and he's in a comedy, and you just don't see him as being in a comedy. But then when you see him, he's like, oh yeah, he can handle it, he can do that. But he somewhat reminds me of me. I may show it to you one time.
Dad had a good time that day. He was free of all kinds of worry. We both agreed it was the best time of our lives, even with our own wedding, because there was just so much stress with our own wedding. But I'm going to go back and take Angie to the Cathedral of the Pines, because that's where Dad and I were supposed to get married.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show it to her and go there.
Terry still talks about the wedding. Terry, the organist.
Everybody
at
had a
church.
good time. You know who had
He
the
still
best
talks about
time of
that.
all? Greg Church. He got so drunk, and he was leading the Congo line. And he
yeah.
was
I do remember
quiet. He was quiet, you know.
I do remember that. Terry still talks to Marie.
Yeah,
Is Greg passed away?
I don't know. I lost touch with Marie.
Did they get separated? He and Marie?
No, No.
It's funny.
They
I
moved
saw-
down to Florida, and he started
Yeah, I
a,
knew,
a
right.
thing called Flights of Freedom, and he was voluntarily shipping people who needed to be transported places for, I don't know if it was the military or what, but
Or maybe
she
veterans
went
or
into
something.
holistic, not holistic, what's the word? Hypnotherapy.
That sounds
And
right.
she opened up
I
a
remember that.
business down there, and that was the last I contacted them. She came up
Yeah.
one time and stopped to see me, and I
Very
didn't
still
even
talks
recognize her. And I was on my way to the car going somewhere, but I stopped and I visited with her. Like Bubby, you know Bubby, Tyler, his grandmother. She's coming up sometime today,
Oh.
and she wants to go out and have dinner this week, and we keep in touch. Every year she goes to Florida for a few months. And we met in Vegas when her and I met in Vegas when that'll be my final story. I'll tell you, it's not about Dad though, but it's a memory. Bubby was going to Vegas the same time Joe and I were going to Vegas, and Bubby wanted me to meet her and have breakfast or lunch somewhere. And now she was staying at one hotel, we were in another, and there you have a tram that takes you places, or you walk wherever you want to go. So Bubby says to me, "I'll meet you in the lobby at the Bellagio Hotel." Well, I thought that's what she said. So we're sitting there at the Bellagio, and she's nowhere around. Well, after 20 minutes, I called her. I said, "Bubby, where are you?" She said, "I'm in the lobby waiting for you." I said, "I don't see you here." I said, "You did say the Bellagio Hotel, didn't you?" She says, "Linda, I'm Jewish. I would never pay that kind of money to stay at a hotel." She says, "I'm at the Mirage." But over the telephone, Mirage, Bellagio sounded the same. But she was very much Jewish.
Plus, people meet in different places in Vegas. You could have met there because of the fountains or whatever. It didn't mean you stayed there.
I know, but she
But oh my
just,
God.
"Linda, I'm Jewish." But she was disgusted. "Linda, I'm Jewish. I would never pay to stay at the Bellagio." And that's my favorite place I want to go back to.
Yeah, it's a pretty place.
It is a pretty place.